All right, well, welcome back to the Full Court Press, guys. We are shooting episode 3 here on this blistery Monday night. We're glad every one of you joined us, decided to tune back in. Hope you enjoyed the other 2 episodes that we put out. I think we got some great content tonight, and we're just going to get right into it. You know me, I am Anthony here spewing the facts. I'm here with Jonathan. Jonathan, how you doing?
Doing great, doing great.
Good,
Ready
good.
to talk some
Glad to be
basketball.
here. Yeah, glad we're here. And so getting right into it, the probably the biggest development I've seen these last week since our last episode, we announced the All-Star starters. Now, big picture, it probably doesn't mean a lot. I could see it as a confidence boost for some of the big players, but really, it's more just bragging rights, I feel like. But I think it's fun. So I'm going to start with the East right here, where we have Giannis and Tatum as your 3 and your 4, which I don't think anyone's surprised. Seemed like easy choice with Embiid at the 5. A really dominant front court. I think the back court is where I'm hearing some more opinions going back and forth. With Halliburton, who I feel like the in-season tournament is really kind of the boost that he needed to get him there. And, his stats are good since then, too.
Oh, yeah. He's been good.
And Lillard, Damian Lillard, he'll get the start, too, for the East. So, Jonathan, let's just, what are your thoughts on the 5? Like, do you think there's any snubs? Like, what do you think when you look at this?
Yeah, no big complaints. Lillard, I don't know if he necessarily deserves a spot. He's a big name. He leading the East in clutch scoring. I think he leads the NBA in fourth quarter scoring.
Right.
So, he's been good. He's been getting his buckets. He's putting up number. The efficiency's been bad. They got like an all-time terrible defense. They don't got an all-time terrible defense, but they got a bad defense.
I think they're 22nd overall in the league right now.
Yeah, but they're not where they should be. Yeah.
And when you talk about Lillard, we look at what the big picture of a team is. I don't know how much this could have gone into the firing of Adrian Griffin last week even. This team was 4th in the league defensively last year, and now Lillard's first year as a starter, he's 22nd. So, yeah, that makes me question the All-Star status right there, too.
Sure.
Other than that, I have no complaints. Joel Embiid, he's probably everyone's front runner. No surprise there. He'll get the start. Tatum, best player on the best record. Giannis is having another dominant year. And Tyrese is getting his first All-Star.
And he deserves that. He's been the best guard in the East as well.
He does. He is. Yeah. And like you mentioned, look at where Indiana's at right now. They're sitting at 6th. You look at the energy on this team. Halliburton is a star right now. I don't think this Siakam trade happens. It's because they feel like they have a guy they can build around now.
Right.
Actions speak louder than words is what they always say.
Yeah.
And the Pacers spent their draft picks and other role players to get a guy because they're going all in and they feel like they have someone who can get them there. So I think Tyrese is very deserving.
Me too, yep.
As far as any Lillard, I just wonder. You know what? I'll say if it was 100% to me, I would bench Lillard and put Jaylen Brown in.
Jaylen Brown, huh?
I really would have. I trust him more. He's a two-way player. Celtics are far and away the best team in the East right now.
Yeah.
And I think Tyrese and Damian, you're basically putting 2 point guards out there. So I think putting a true 2 guard out there would have shown more respect to the game, I feel like.
Well, that's maybe, but that's not really what the All-Star game's really about. It's more recognizing the good individuals. And, Jaylen Brown, he's a good choice, but, you look at what Brunson's doing, the numbers Donovan Mitchell's putting up, and, those are 2 guys that could easily be over Damian Lillard.
Right.
Brunson's leading that team and playing super efficient, he's playing good basketball.
Well, when you say it's about recognizing the best players, so would you suggest we go positionless then? Or?
I think that's what they should do, just because these NBA players, their contracts are based off of, bonuses and stuff, making the All-Star League and stuff. So I don't understand why we do positions, but it's fine with me.
Because it's still a basketball game.
I guess it is. I think that's what they're doing.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
As far as the bonuses, I feel your argument there. And I think a part of the bonus is about where you rank based on other people.
Yeah,
Or what
yeah.
it's based on people that are doing, in theory, the same job as you.
Yeah. And I mean, when you talk about that, if you go to the West, you can kind of see my point where a really good guard like Curry didn't make the All-Star starters,
No.
but it's because Luka and Shea are quite obviously having better seasons.
They are.
And it's like, if it was positionless, Curry may have that start,
Maybe.
And I don't know, it does mean a lot to players' contracts and stuff. It doesn't to Curry because he's going to get the max anywhere he goes.
Right.
But.
I know, for a few more years he will. I know All NBA probably matters more. But
yeah, maybe.
All Star is a factor also. Now, you actually segued pretty well into the West. So we're going to have, for the backcourt, we've got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Luka Doncic. I don't think anyone's surprised. Two MVP candidates in their own right, along with Jokic. Clearly best center in the conference. LeBron and Durant are where I have questions. And I guess it's an okay pick for me. And they'll both get the start. But what do you say about the West?
Let's see. Right away, LeBron James is a great player, iconic. He's having a good season. But there's some other, the forwards in the West are really good too. Kawhi Leonard's someone who sticks out right away as having a great season, great defender still, great offensive player, super efficient, leading his team. They're winning a ton of games right now, playing great. I don't know, maybe switching that up right there might help it out.
So do you definitively think they should have put Kawhi in over LeBron?
I think Kawhi's a better player right now.
Yeah, there's validity to that.
Or I think he's had a better season so far. When it really counts, LeBron's got another gear. But.
Sure. Me also, yeah, I see. And I think you mentioned positionless basketball. We kind of see that come out in the West a little bit too. With Luka starting as a guard.
Yeah. Big guard.
But, yeah, that is a big guard. That is a big guard. But
he's got the ball in his hands. But LeBron James does too, and he's starting at forward. So,
exactly.
It's like, why are we doing what we're doing? They're the same kind of player to me.
So would you say, with saying the All-Star game should go positionless, do you feel like almost as a reflection of where the league is at right now?
Yeah, I suppose, and it's not like they're playing it's not like anyone's taking the game seriously like maybe they used to in the past or anything like that. So it's like, yeah, it means a lot to the players. I think the best players should get it,
Sure.
So.
Hey, yeah. Well, would you say the All-NBA teams should do that too? Just 5 best players of the All-NBA first team?
I think so, yeah.
Well, I hear the argument.
I don't see any reason why the position you're listed at, which I understand why we have listed positions and stuff, and that makes sense because you got to try to categorize people, and some people fit into categories, but some people don't. So.
True. Well, and I get that, but it's the idea is that it represents the All-NBA team, and there's no scenario on any given basketball roster where Jokic, Embiid, and Giannis would be on the court at the same time.
No.
But you would have had that for probably the last 3 or 4 years if you just had the top 5 guys on the All-NBA first team.
Yeah.
So,
which I think they should get that because they're all NBA players. And it's like, how can you be a final MVP candidate and not make the All-NBA team?
Right.
Which is what has happened in the past.
Yeah. So, MVP runner-up, for example, last couple of years, it's been Embiid and Jokic have been 1-2 in the MVP vote, and one of them's been on the second team.
Yep. One of them's got to switch to forward so they can both make the first team.
Now we're talking. But
that's what they got to do. They do that and they don't got a problem.
Yeah.
Which is dumb to me because why does it matter?
I hear your point. Makes sense. Yeah, I don't really have any problems with the West. LeBron, Kawhi, flip a coin for me, really. Last few years, LeBron's been more consistent. Yeah, I think they got it right in the West. I really do.
Yeah.
No complaints.
No complaints just because LeBron's track record, huh?
Yeah, and honestly, you mentioned Kawhi. Karl Anthony Towns is the guy that I would have said. You look at, he's putting up big-time numbers tied for the best record in the West.
Yeah, I just don't like him. That's the reason.
Yeah.
He's putting up numbers. I just don't believe in any of them. So Yeah. What do you score? 62 points.
62 points.
How can you do that in a loss to the Hornets? So I mean, I think they're empty stats. I don't believe in any of them.
Well,
yeah. I mean, it's impressive.
They've got a chance to prove everyone wrong
NBA.
this year. That they're the team with a target on their back. I feel like is Minnesota. But
yep, and they're getting hunted down.
So the other big thing I want to get into, I feel like kind of the redemption story we have in the league this season is the LA Clippers.
For sure.
This is a team. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. This is year 5 for Kawhi and Paul George being together out there.
It's crazy.
In Los Angeles.
It's been a disappointing time.
I mean, one conference finals berth. I mean, we've all heard the narratives that Kawhi can't stay on the court. We've heard the narratives of Paul George. We call him playoff P.
Yeah.
And now with Harden and Westbrook joining the mix also. These are 4 guys who have been scrutinized throughout the course of their career, with some more recent.
Yep.
What do you think a ring would mean for each of those 4 players? Like, pick one and go through. What'd you say?
Pick one.
Pick one of those 4.
I'll start with the big guy, Kawhi.
Okay.
I think he brings back his legacy as a winner.
Mm.
When he was in Toronto, he went there and he won him a championship, and then he left to LA. People were like, "This he's ruling the NBA right now. Like, he's just doing what he wants to do, and he's winning." And great player. I mean, but in the past 4 years, he's been a little bit washed up. He hasn't been able to stay on the court at all. Been getting injured. They let Luka Doncic run through him after they were up 3-1. So I mean, I think it renews his legacy as a winner if he can win this year. So he's got to get that back because he's really lost it. But in my opinion, I mean, I do not have the same respect that I had for him after that Toronto championship.
No, I don't think anyone does. I mean, if you look at what his status was in summer of 2019, I mean, he went to Toronto and brought his first year. He brought them their first ring.
Yeah, in convincing fashion.
People were looking as this as a guy who could potentially even challenge LeBron's career as far as mobility and being able to win anywhere.
Yeah,
and being the clutch guy with the it factor.
Yeah, number 1 in the NBA. People are arguing
it was potential. It was on the radar.
And now he's probably missing some people's top 10.
He's been missing mine for the last couple of years.
Yeah, so I mean, going from competing with LeBron for number 1 to missing people's top 10 it's quite a fall. And I think he gets that back if he can win and show how well he can play.
Right. I'll pick one of the 4. I'll go with James Harden.
James Harden.
I can't think of a player who has been scrutinized for their choking more. We talked about what happened out in Houston. And we saw a few years in a row. We have Philly, Brooklyn even. I mean, there's no player that I could think of whose play consistently drops off come playoff time for one reason or another. It's really irrelevant. If they get a ring, it helps Harden's legacy. It really would, because it checks a box. But it's not gonna fix the main problem. And the question that people have for Harden is, can he be the best player on a team that can win a ring? And he has not shown that dependability. So if he wins one as the 3rd or 4th guy in LA, I mean, yeah, it'll be nice. It'll help where he's at, but it's not gonna save his reputation as a choker.
That's true. Yeah, I don't think it saves it. I think he can definitely help it, though, if he can play as a good 3rd option to Kawhi and PG, and if he can have 1 or 2 good games in the playoffs where he wins them a game on his own, if he can go off, I mean, I think that's big. I think he can really help his legacy. And you talk about the criticism he's gotten in the past, and how much he's choked. I mean, he deserves all the criticism he's gotten. He has not shown an ability to play good basketball when the lights are bright and when teams start playing physical with him. He's really just falling apart. The 3-point shot leaves him, and he gets less aggressive. So,
right.
I mean, I think it's all deserved, but I think when he's the 3rd option and he's not zoned in on, and he doesn't have a lockup defender on him for 7 games in a row, where they can kind of learn his moves, I think he does a lot better.
I can see it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
To give me PG and Westbrook are left.
PG and Westbrook. Okay. Well, I'll take Brody.
Okay. You would.
What does it mean to his career? I think it means a lot. I think it establishes him as a team player. I've been super impressed with him since James Harden has left the team. Just his attitude, how much he supports the team, how he allegedly chose to go to the bench. He asked the coach to put him on the bench before their 10-game window where they were going to try it out was, and he's just been a great team player. He's had some good games even since Harden has been here. He's hit some big shots, and he's been really fun to watch. And I think it establishes him as a great team player. I know he's got a good reputation from the players, but from the media and stuff, he comes across as a stat patter, someone who's just concerned about himself and not concerned about winning. And that's not what I hear from players, and I think it establishes him as being a great team player and a great locker room guy, and I think it really extends his career in this league, because if he's willing to step down and be that guy, then I think he can play a long time.
You know, there is such a narrative with Westbrook about him as a step. I think it goes back to his MVP year. You know, the first year after Durant bolted, the 16-17 year, Westbrook became the first player in over 50 years to average a triple-double and get an MVP spot. You know, but they only were the 6th seed. I think that's what people really looked at, that as him going all out for his stats regardless of winning. You know, there was the speculation on that being why Durant even left OKC in the first place too. And it's just really the perceptive, I feel like, that's been on him.
Yeah.
So you're right, a ring would change that.
Yeah, I think so.
A ring would change that. And but kind of the same problem as Harden too. He's not doing it as the guy, you know. He's kind of basically admitting he couldn't be the guy on that team.
But he's not the same player either, so I don't think it takes away from who he was.
True.
I think Harden's still a little bit closer to who he used to be.
Right.
And he'd be a bigger part of the team too, I think.
So you know, I'll close it out with talk about Paul George here. I mean, I've loved playoff P pretty much ever since he came to the league. I think he has the most to gain out of anyone on this Clippers roster if they can bring a ring home. Primarily because he's got a couple. This is someone who pretty much has everything except that. I mean, he's been an MVP finalist. He's been Defensive Player of the Year, multiple All-NBA first-team spots. Just needs to shed the reputation as a choker.
Yeah.
That's the thing I like about these Clippers is I feel like it's like Chokers Anonymous almost. It's like we take 4 of these players who, for one reason or another, we look at as being undependable.
Right,
and
for sure.
They're on the same team and look like they could get it done.
But there's 4 of them, yeah.
Yeah.
So as long as Kawhi doesn't go down, I think they got a real chance to go deep.
They do.
So, yeah, I agree that PG, he may have the most to gain with reputation, because he's always the guy who's going to play good defense. He's always the guy who's going to, you know, put up points. But he just has fallen apart in the playoffs every time. So I think he could really establish himself as a winner. He has some good games in there. He always plays good defense, always plays his heart out on that end. Yep, really changed the narrative.
So one last thing I wanted to go over here is, you know, the Celtics. Celtics are the best team in the league. I think you can ask pretty much anyone right now and they would say that.
Yeah, they're playing great.
What should they be worried about right now? Like, what are the reasons that you could look at the Boston Celtics and say they're not going to win a ring?
Well, the obvious one is they never do.
Sure.
Because they always look great. They always look great in the regular season. But the reason that they might not win, let's see. So they got the depth, they got the defense, and they got the scoring, they got the superstar power. But I think where they haven't proven to me that they're elite at yet is closing out games. Too many times when they're trying to close out games, I see Tatum with the ball trying to ISO some guy and maybe exploit a mismatch and get up his shot on his own. And it just seems like in the fourth quarter when the game slows down, they shake off that team basketball, the flow of the offense that they have the rest of the game, and a lot of ISO ball happens. And they got some of the best ISO players in the team in the league, really. But that doesn't mean that that's the most efficient way to play basketball. Still, so
True.
yeah, that's the real hole that maybe I can nitpick with. But really, if I'm going to pick a reason why they might not win, is they seem like this every year. They're a great team, great regular season team, but they have not put it together in the playoffs yet.
Well, they've changed their identity from years past. I mean, look at Smart's gone. I mean,
Sure.
it's a different. I mean, Joe Mazzulla's coaching a different style of basketball than what we've seen with the other two,
Yeah.
Udoka and Brad Stevens. So essentially, what you're saying is you feel like they change too much as the lights get brighter and the game gets bigger.
I think they towards the end of the games they tend to go into kind of iso ball actions. You know, maybe run down and pin down for Tatum, let him catch the ball with maybe a mismatch, get a switch on him maybe with a pick or something, and then he tries to exploit that. Is what tends to happen a lot.
Right.
And he's good at it.
Right. The road record concerns me also.
But, okay.
Too. They've dropped games that they should have won on the road, whether it was Philly or Charlotte. I think that's a sign of an undisciplined roster, and I think it just shows that when you look at Boston, that there's cracks. Yeah, you're right. I think they just feel very young, and they just don't.
They still do.
They don't seem to work as they still do. It's like these guys have been around forever. I mean, Tatum's in year.
They've been in the playoffs every single year.
Tatum's in year
deep
6.
Run.
Tatum's in year 6. Yeah.
They should have the playoff experience. That's why I didn't mention that. But
right.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is the year.
I think the teams that they usually have to worry about seem like they're a little down on their luck right now too. Whether Philly or Miami. Miami's reeling right now. That's kind of been their Achilles heel for a few years too.
Yeah, 6-game losing streak.
I do think Boston's going to win the East though. I'm just nitpicking, saying what.
Oh yeah, I think they will.
Always find a way to be better. Well, that's all we have to talk about tonight, guys.
All right.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe at the bottom.
That's right.
And we will be coming at you guys again next week with some more great content to go over.
That's right. Okay.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.